Welcome to this interview where we'll talk about the trends in the water treatment market. My name is Mikko Pohjala from Kemira's Investor Relations, and I'm here interviewing Andreas Thunberg, the CEO of Käppalaförbundet, a Swedish municipal water treatment company. Hello Andreas, and welcome to the interview.
Hello, nice to be here.
Briefly, what we are going to discuss today is, as mentioned, the trends in the water treatment market, and particularly how you see sustainability, how important it is, and how is that expected to change in the future. And then we'll also touch upon how your requirements for suppliers are expected to change. Before we start, let's have a short introduction of Käppalaförbundet. So you are a municipal water treatment company operating here in Greater Stockholm, Sweden. You're treating wastewater of approximately 700,000 people equivalents in 11 and soon to be 12 municipalities here in Stockholm. And today we are in Lidingö in Stockholm inside your wastewater treatment plant, which is the third largest in Sweden. And here you use a combination of mechanical, biological and chemical water treatment. But with this, we're ready to kick off. And if we start by looking back, so what would you say have been the largest changes in the market in the past 10 years?
Yeah, a lot of things has happened, of course. Let's not talk about the past 1 or 2 years because that's been quite dramatic. But if you look at the past 10 years, I would say that we see an increasing market. We see a more complex market. We see new technologies that are introduced, and we see much more foreign companies coming in. I mean, 10 years ago, we were amazed when Chinese companies got involved in procurements, but now it's standard. And the reason why it is so is because we have much more stringent environmental legislations now in Sweden. And this, in turn, is an effect of the EU Water Framework Directive that's now been implemented in Swedish law. So we have about 23 billion Swedish kronor that needs to be invested yearly now in Sweden, and we have extremely tough discharge permits that are coming from the county administrative board, which is a supervisory function. And of course this demands new technologies, more energy, more chemicals, more of everything. So the market is growing, and yeah, that's what we see now, I would say.
And if we just think about the current situation with the energy prices, how is that impacting you?
Of course, it's quite dramatic. For us as a company, fortunately, we have about 80% fixed prices right now, but next year there will be dramatic changes, of course, in the fees that we have to take from our owners, the municipalities. And this, of course, affects the way we look at the different types of energy that we have. We have biogas, we have district heating, and we have the electricity. And in a plant like the Käppala plant, we can produce large amounts of district heating. We are producing a lot of biogas for buses in Stockholm for the local bus company. And of course, we have a market now with liquefied biogas that is opening up for us. And the interest is huge because of the situation with the energy crisis in Europe. So energy and sustainability, that's what we're talking about constantly right now.
I can imagine. This ties to my next question. So if we turn our focus to sort of sustainability, and we all know we consumers are requiring more and more sustainable solutions. So how is this visible here in Stockholm, and how would you expect that to change?
Everything we talk about is sustainability. The climate crisis, the energy crisis, and what we can do with the different types of product that we can produce from a place like this. We no longer talk about a wastewater treatment plant, we talk about a resource recovery facility, because we can produce phosphorus, nitrogen, energy in the form of heat, electricity, and biogas, and at the same time treat the water. So our politicians, in every decision that they take now, they are always considering sustainability. So as a company, if you don't care about sustainability, you don't exist in 5 years.
That's true, and it seems like you're able to utilize a lot of your side streams in this plant. Good. Then there's another topic that we often talk about is microplastics, micropollutants. So how is this also a bit tied to sustainability? So how is that visible here?
Well, in Sweden, we are all waiting for some kind of national legislation that will well, a municipal company as Käppala would definitely be the target for this. But at the same time, we already have, in the existing legislation, we have, if you read it, you could say that we actually already now should install some kind of treatment for removal of pharmaceuticals. Mm-hmm. So in the coming 5 to 10 years, this will be the case in Käppala, as is the case in the bigger utilities in Sweden. And I would say in 10 to 15 years you will see it in most places in the southern parts of Sweden at least. So it's an upcoming issue.
Yeah. Yeah. And in many instances you've sort of touched upon the sort of topic of increasing regulation. So that is expected to increase, but what specific regulation would you highlight in the coming years? Definitely
this with regarding the micropollutants, and also for the sludge. I would say I think that eventually there will be a prohibition of farmland use of the sludge, unless you, maybe ashes or pure phosphorus, of course, would be okay. But you will have new legislation regarding the sludge, the micropollutants, but also the fact that we're joining NATO probably will have a much bigger impact on the kind of procurements that we will have in the future. Yeah. The resilience and what kind of suppliers you can cooperate with, yes, will also be something that we will see changes in.
And to summarize, so put all this into a context, so how would you expect your changes for your suppliers to change?
Well, transparency, yeah. And we didn't know how, we didn't understand how sensitive the supply chains were for many of our suppliers. And now when we see that, and we see that a huge portion of the Swedish water and wastewater industry relies on the same factory in one place, yes, that's a huge issue. Yes. We're going to talk about national stocks, much more open discussion with the suppliers on how can we act in a time of crisis. And you will also see this in the procurements. And